Okay, so after I put the assignment out for this week, I started realizing that it's really kind of a big assignment, but it's not an impossible assignment. It's just big. So this is going to be the first time that um, you all, especially you guys at home, are going to be creating a web page from scratch, basically. So there's a few things that I'm gonna have to go over so you can understand what's going on. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if this is gonna work because of the fact that I've never actually used it on Google Doc. I use something called Notepad, and if you notice the instructions, it says go ahead and use Notepad to to actually um, create the code. So, excuse me. So what I want to start by looking at is a couple of things before we start. I want you to understand where your resources are. So your resources are located on your Canvas page, and it's under modules. So I'm going to use first period because they're just I know for sure they got everything there. So you go to modules, then I go all the way down to class resources, and under class resources we have something called the cheat sheet, which I don't know if I mentioned that probably because I haven't done a video in a while. But the cheat sheet, if you click on it, it brings up a sheet that's shared with you guys, and it's also on the assignment, so it's readily available, and it basically has all the little tags that we could use, like HTML, ending for HTML, the head section, and it gives an explanation of what we're using them for. So you can always reference all of these. And the big one, of course, is this one, an image, because you're going to need an image on your web page. And the other one's a web link, but I don't have that one on here. Um, I guess I'll try to point a place where you can look on on W3 schools. So this is the first thing you can use for a reference. The other thing you can use is the W3 schools. If I click right there, this page comes up, and this is the HTML coding part. And we're basically using HTML, and we're also using CSS. So if you click on HTML, it's going to have like a ton of resources on here. So when you're looking around, you say, well, what do the basics look like? Well, I click basics, and it gives me all these codes and everything I work with. And right here is your basic format for your first part of the document, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it in just a second. But this is a great resource to use. Like if you want to say you want to use colors, you can work with colors by going to colors, and you click on colors. It'll tell you how you can name your colors. So if you remember that if there's some code like background, we can actually put background color in it. Now on Khan Academy, they didn't talk about it like this, but if you can learn how to use it, that's fine because in the end, it's just trying to get our job done correctly. Um, so you have your HTML. You have the HTML that's on W3 Schools. You also have it on the cheat sheet. You can also use Khan Academy too. But remember, there is a little difference because Khan Academy, there's certain things you can do in Khan Academy that you can't do on a real, well, I shouldn't say you can't do it on a real web page. It's just kind of it's got a couple of different things. Anyways, with all of that said, I want you to understand one thing. Coding is just a set of instructions that tells the computer what to do. The important point is the keywords are a set. And a set is always made of subsets. In other words, don't look at the coding as a big thing. Just look at it in small chunks. If you take it one step at a time and one section at a time, you'll get the work done. So I'm just trying to encourage you, don't get too frustrated and be like, man, I can't do this. This is impossible. It's not impossible. It's just a matter of, getting it done. Okay, so now I've done my speeches and I told you about your resources. I'm going to take a look at the module that we actually have for this week. And the module itself is creating your first real web page. Now, I have a due date of say like April 16th, which is tomorrow. But for you guys, as long as you share the file with me, then that's all I need. If you share it with me, I can download it into my thing and grade it. Now, understand what I'm saying. Share, because in the past we've taken screenshots of everything, but this time you're actually going to have a file that you're going to share with me. So I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. But first, let's look at the assignment. It says that we're going to work with HTML to enhance web pages. Um, I've kind of touched on your resources you'll be using. Um, where it says use Notepad. In your case, if you're at home, you're going to be using Google Docs, and we're going to try to see if this works because I've never actually used it like this. And the big thing is we're going to create a web page using codes that we've learned, and we're supposed to use a rubric. I don't have the rubric attached yet, and I guess I dropped the ball on that one. But basically, if you can do this, have color, have some words on there, have an image, and have a hypertext or a hyperlink, you should be okay. Remember color, which means the background and maybe some of the words. Paragraph, which is basically just words, and I'll give you a good example in a little while. Uh, Images, so you pick a couple of pictures off the internet, and I'll try to go through that. This is going to be kind of a long video, so you might have to stop it and start it from time to time. And the last is a hyperlink. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and take a look at a few things. I said that the cheat sheet is right here. Then we go to document. Now, in the document, there's going to be some stuff that you should fill out. You should try to fill out. If you don't turn this in, it's okay. But what I'm looking for is the final file. But there's a couple things you need to consider when you're creating the web page. What kind of web page is it? Is it a business web page? Like, in other words, does it promote something like Whataburger or McDonald's or Subway? Is it an entertainment web page? Like, does it have to do with some kind of sport or like a recreational place or like an amusement park like Six Flags? Uh, is it an e-portfolio? Now, an e-portfolio is made out of different things that you've done, and it kind of sums up what you've done in a web page, so that way people can read more about you. A brochure kind of tells you about the places that you go. Like if you go to San Antonio, there might be a brochure web page that kind of tells you what to do in San Antonio, where to visit, where to find a place to sleep for the night, where to go for entertainment. So it kind of covers a lot of stuff. A nonprofit website would be something like, um, I don't know, like McDonald House, I think is what it's called, but like something that doesn't, the nonprofit groups are the ones that they usually have just telling them where to send money to help out and telling them what they're doing to help the community. And in fact, just a side note, if you ever get a chance to work and volunteer for a nonprofit group, it's great because you get to use that on your resume. So even if you're building a web page and you go do it for a nonprofit group, you can stick that on your resume and say, I created a website for this group, and you're not going to get paid for it, but the recognition you get for it for doing that is really, it'll help you. Of course, the last one's educational or education. So let's just say I'm doing a web page for um, like one of the CTE classes, such as auto mechanics. I'm doing a web page for that, telling them what they do, what to expect, all these things. So there's a lot of examples. I wish I could give you some actual examples, but I've looked on the internet, and basically, I'm not gonna lie to you, they're not very exciting. So that's one of the things that I love about teaching these classes. I get to help you guys find ways to be exciting. Um, okay, the next thing is colors. Now, I mentioned before, if you want to, you can go to HTML and go to colors, and it tells you how to get your colors together. Remember, if you run across a code that has an RGB in it, you can find the colors on here by using the this thing is called, where is it at? Color picker, and the color picker will allow you to pick colors, and it'll even show you how black font or white font will look on it. You pick the color, Like you pick it like that, and you say, "Oh, I don't like that one. I picked this one. Okay, that looks pretty good." And then it'll give you the RBG code right here, and all you have to do is copy and paste it. So the things I know I'm kind of jumping around, but a big thing about the coding on this web page is you're going to be copying and pasting quite a bit of stuff. If it's already done and all you got to do is just change a little bit, it'll save you some time and get the job done quicker. Um, okay, so we have talked about stuff and we're in the document. Sorry, I'm kind of sidetracked. Okay, so this color place is just to kind of help you plan out for what colors you're going to use. Links, external websites, or table of contents that are going to be used. Now, remember, external means I'm going out and looking for a actual link that'll take me to something like, say, I'm doing a website on cats, and so there's a major website, there's a United States website, and I can hyperlink from my web page to that to kind of present more information. Social media links, if you're going to use Facebook or Twitter or I don't know. I'm trying to think of Instagram. You can put this into your web page, but you got to understand that right now, of course, we don't really have like a real Twitter account for whatever you're making or a real Instagram account for it. So you can put the emblems, the pictures, the icons on the web page, but they probably shouldn't hyperlink. If they hyperlink to anything, it'll be like if it's Twitter, it'll be twitter.com or the actual main page, or Instagram, the main page for Instagram. So that way you don't get confused and you don't accidentally put your personal stuff out there, because one of the things is you always got to keep your personal stuff personal. Okay, so the last thing we got to look at as far as on the page is copyright material. Now you don't have to worry about that right now because um, we're actually in school. So one of the things is they allow you certain things you can do with the material. As long as you don't sell it or anything, you can use it. When you're using something, like you want to use a photo, the best place to go and use is something called use Creative Commons, and it's a website that has all this free stuff. So I'm going to kind of show you. I know we still haven't gone into the real stuff yet, but once I get into that, you'll see how everything kind of ties together. So Creative Commons is a web page that you can go to, and if you want to pick some pictures for free to use on your web page, you can click search for CC images. Um, and then, like, let's just say I wanted a picture of Trans Am. Trans Am's an older view. I don't even think we make Trans Ams anymore. But anyways, I want a free picture. So I click it, I go to it, and oh yeah, there they are, the Trans Am. So I like that picture, and nobody said we can't use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and click it, and then of course remember this, and I'll try to talk about it a little more when I actually go over it. Is you're gonna find you're right clicking and you're doing copy image address. That gives me the actual address for this picture. So when the computer goes out and looks for it, it's looking for this specific spot in the internet. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So now we've covered everything on this page, but we haven't started creating anything yet. So I'm going to try to start going over the things you're going to need for um for your web page. So what I'm going to need is I need to pull up a Google Doc. So I'm going to open up a tab. I'm going to go to Docs to create a new one. This might be a little bit different, so kind of bear with me. Hopefully, I don't have to redo half of this, um, video. You know what? In fact, that's a good idea. I'm gonna stop right here, so that way I can make another video in case I have to make it. I have to redo all this other stuff. But just to recap, what video one is all about. Video one is about the assignment. It's about the resources like cheat sheet, which is right here, and you can no, right here, and you can use all of that stuff to find codes. It's also about w3schools.com, which has a ton of resources you can use. Then it also talks about the requirements and things you need to fill out. So those are the things you need to remember to do. Um, One of the things I'm going to go ahead and type in here, and I haven't typed it in for other classes, um, web page expectations. And what it is with that is I'm trying to say that you need you need need color, or I should say colors, such as background and text. Then you need paragraphs, which you can get the paragraphs off the internet. That's fine. You can copy and paste it. Don't do that when you're really doing it in college, but make sure right now we're just learning how to do it. So always remember the copyright laws that you don't want to take away from somebody else and not give them credit. Paragraphs. Let's see what else is there. I said images. Images. Oh, too many threes right there. And last but not least, make sure you try to get at least one hyperlink, and that basically is your address. And the hyperlink can be either external or internal. And internal means that it's like a table of contents that you've seen the lesson. It's called jump around. I think is the one for internal. The external is the one that just links for learning. I think is the one, and that's probably your hardest piece. Is this piece? Okay, so I'm kind of giving you a lot to think about. I kind of showed the criteria for video one. I'm going to go ahead and stop it and publish this one, and then I'll go ahead and do the video part two. So that way, in case I mess up on something, I don't have to redo this.